And a pleasant good evening to you and yours, and welcome to the Brevard Sports Network. Look, it's been non-stop football. And not that I have anything against that, but even I can tire of football. So what we wanted to do was break up the monotony of football a little bit and check in on one of our other favorite fall sports. In fact, it is the fall sport we broadcast the most of, and that is volleyball. And joining me here today to talk about her volleyball program, and it's a good one, in case you can't tell by the hat there. It is Bayside Bears head coach Nicole Hunt. And coach, first of all, welcome. Second of all, how's your summer going?
Super busy, of course. We still have a club going on, and then, of course, summer conditioning has started now, so not a bunch of spare time, really.
Now, Coach, I'm going to say this: these girls and you coaches, I don't know, and I don't know about swimmers because I know swimming's a fall sport. I know they work hard, and I don't mean any disrespect to any other sports, but volleyball girls, they really, it's non-stop with club and high school. Kind of take us through, if you would. Let's start from, say, the fall. So you play the fall season. How much of a break do you get from fall into club?
Depends on how far you go into postseason. If you're going into postseason, there's no break, really, because as soon as you're done, the very next week you're starting practices for the club season.
And
So,
then you go club all the way through to, and most of these programs around here are playing in Orlando this month for the Nationals. So, and which club again, Coach? Do you coach for?
I coach in Cape Coast.
Okay, all right. So always it is the top program in Brevard County. All right, Coach. Let's take a quick glimpse back to last year. You graduate a lot of seniors, two of the best players in this county, in Jasmine Calton and Jenna Walters. They're off to college. Or going to be off. They may even be at college now because volleyball is a fall sport. But you also return a lot. But let's go back to last season. Um, take me through last season. I felt like you were just that far away from
Yes.
really making it over that hump, Coach.
Yes, for sure. We started off strong. We put a lot into the summer conditioning going in and prepared to kind of turn some heads in the season. And I think we did. We just still are lacking in this program, I think, self confidence. I think they still at times don't feel like they are as good as some of the other teams. And in crunch times, that's when it really affects them. They're great. They come out all, blazing in the first couple sets, and then it gets to like a critical moment and they tense up. So we've been working a lot in the off season on how to handle certain situations.
You know what, Coach? That's well said, quite honestly. And you don't hear a lot of coaches say that. It's funny though that you say that because when we walked out of that gym last year at Satellite High School for the conference thing, we looked at each other and we said, if they could just catch a break. You know what I mean? If they could just catch one break, get one call, something. We just felt like that one big win is what would catapult this program to the. I mean, it is at the top of this county, Coach. But I'm talking about when you get into November, having that confidence to go play in a Final Four, and I believe it's coming for your program. So let's talk a little bit about, as a coach, that's a difficult thing to coach against. That's almost like one of those non-entities you can't prepare for, right? But how have you approached that?
Just continued repetition, continued um, extra effort in the gym, and just having them believe in their capabilities. It's it's one of those hard things with me because I'm kind of really old school, and I really feel that I don't want to just catch the break. I want it to be like an obvious we are the better team and we earned what we got. I don't want something to just be, a call went our way.
Right.
I want them to definitely show that they are the better team. And so it's just a matter of them getting on the court, continuing to get more comfortable with their capabilities, more trust in each other, and just more experience. So we haven't had longevity in postseason play like some of the other teams have. The other teams, it's just a given that they're going to be in the postseason, whereas we haven't gotten that glory yet. So it's something they're just going to have to continue to put in the time and earn it.
I tell you, I definitely, when we broadcast Bayside Volleyball, and it's so great to know that we can do that finally this year.
Yes.
Well, we're very, very excited about being able to come down there to that gym and do that. Coach, I look at what you have returning, and I'm impressed with the roster that you have coming back. But before we get to that, can you kind of talk a little bit about the player? I'm curious. I want to hear about Miss Calton because she was just one of the, if not the best all-around volleyball player in this county last year. And I was really impressed watching her play. Tell us about her for those that don't know about her. And I know she's off to college, but I think it's important to remember players like Jasmine.
Yeah, Jasmine. I've been working with Jasmine since she was in 6th or 7th grade. She just, of course, she had her older sister, Cecilia, that was with us. So
Yeah.
she was always one that was just floating around the gym, shagging balls or whatever. I would say out of all the players that have come through my tenure here, she has the biggest heart. She is just like a big teddy bear. So everybody that comes in contact with Jasmine loves her. She's a great player on the court, but I think what just makes her the most memorable is the person that she is, because there's not a person that I can think of that has a bad thing to say about Jasmine, and that's hard to find in today's society.
All right, Coach. Let's talk about because you had some young players over the last couple of years that really made a mark and an impression in this county. I can remember talking about a specific sophomore 2 years ago. I think she's going to be a senior this year. Is Moeller a senior this year?
Yes. Yep.
Wow.
She will be my senior setter this year. Camille is coming back strong. She's put in a lot of time in the off season. She played for our club this year as well. So she's bringing the experience to help head up the team, which is fantastic. I think she's going to have a great senior year.
And I apologize, Coach, but you have some other outstanding players coming back. Is Ainsley Shack coming back?
Yes, she is. She'll be a junior this year.
That's incredible. Coach, who are some of the players that you're going to depend on? We know about Camille. We know about Ainsley. Who are some of the other players that are going to need to step up for you this year?
Well, we've got Janae McClin is coming back as our other middle. She played starting position this last year opposite of Jazzy. Then we've got Shamora Scott, which is our other 6-foot middle, who was playing right side a lot for us this last year just because I didn't need her in the middle, but she's really been a middle hitter up until this last year. So in club, she transitioned back to middle hitter, so that's going to help us out opposite of Janae. I've also got our other setter, Addie Carter. She was only a freshman this last year, but she stepped right into a big role and filled some big shoes this last year as well.
Coach, like beach volleyball, has become one of these popular sports in terms of growing wise. The indoor game, which I ask a lot of coaches this, which game do you prefer?
So it's funny because when you talk to coaches, some of them love beach and they think that it helps, the girls on the inside, and some of them can't stand beach because it is a completely different game. But coming from, I played both growing up, I think that beach absolutely helps your indoor game. I prefer the indoor game just because of the dynamics of it. But I really appreciate the beach scene because there's so much that you learn from it as far as court coverage and being able to have your IQ escalated. You're constantly watching for the holes on the court. You're learning how to do placement shots. And so that all helps and transpires into the indoor, I think.
And it's a completely different style of coaching. I mean, it's pairs, it's not six. How impressed were you, or are you, with the way Brevard County has responded in courts, in teams, or where are we? And what would your opinion be on that? I know we need more courts. We obviously have to have more courts because there are a lot of teams. But in the short period of time, to see the growth of beach volleyball, I think is very impressive. What is your take on this?
I love it. Courts, Darren's courts out there. I mean, I don't have any courts down here in Bayside. So unfortunately for us, it would be fantastic if we could get a court down here as south as we are, because we are having to travel all the way to Satellite Beach to have our games. And thankfully, Darren's gracious enough to let us use those for games. But I really would love to see more courts built for those of us that are housing teams so that we can actually have effective practices.
I was shocked, Coach, when I looked and saw the number of teams participating in the Cape Coast Conference tournament this year. I didn't even realize there were that many teams in Brevard County this year, and it's impressive to see here with Nicole Hunt, Coach. You're one of the volleyball coaches that have been coaching a program. What season will this be for you?
This will be a whole decade for me, 10 years in.
Wow. Well, congratulations on 10 years. Let me ask you this. I know, like, I watch every day on social media, I'm seeing all these football players out there running it, but I know how hard your ladies are working. What is a summer routine and workout for Bayside Volleyball? How do you structure your summer workouts?
Yeah. So it's escalated through the years. And I kind of feed off of what the girls are willing to put in, because I do know that it is summer and everybody's got family vacations. There's club that's still going on, so there's a lot to maneuver around. But this summer we have 3 sessions a week where we go Mondays and Thursdays from 4:30 to 8:30. Typically they will come in and they will go immediately out to the track. They will run laps on the track, and then they'll run stadium stairs. Sometimes I do what we call sound offs, which it's kind of a military style of conditioning where everybody's in rows and you're having to do jumping jacks together, burpees, and various conditioning exercises. After we're out there for about 45 minutes, we'll go into the weight room for another 45 minutes to an hour. Mondays we do upper bodies, and Thursdays we do lower body. After that, we go into the gym where they just have open gym for 2 hours. There's so many of them. They love to get the extra reps in, and it's to the point where, I mean, they're going till 8:30 at night. Sometimes
Wow.
9 o'clock, I'm having to shut off the lights because they're still wanting to have hitting lines or play queens of the courts or whatever they're wanting to do. So I tend to have a hard time telling them no. So sometimes it's me shutting out the lights at 9 o'clock, kicking them out.
Get out.
Yeah,
Coach.
then on Fridays we actually meet off site. I don't know if you know Kenny Johnson, but he's a mayor or deputy mayor here in Palm Bay, and his dad is a teacher at our school. His mom's a teacher in Brevard County as well, and he actually has his own fitness facility called Top Notch Facility, and he does speed and agility training and plyometric training. So all the girls go to him on Friday nights from 6 to 7. Sometimes he'll do it on the beach. So typically 3 weeks out of the month we'll meet at his facility, and then one Friday we'll end up going out to Paradise Beach, and he'll work them out in the sand and just do a bunch of training and jump training and speed and agility stuff. So they're in 3 days a week.
You said Kenny, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, oh yeah, I know Kenny well. Does a terrific job with
Hmm.
Top Notch Training, and I believe isn't he a Bayside graduate?
Yeah, I think he is. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, I know
yeah.
he helped out with the football program a
Yeah, I
couple
think he
times.
is. Yeah, I think he is a Bayside graduate here with Nicole Hunt. Coach, let me ask you this. The one thing I love about volleyball coaches is your honesty. I mean, I love the fact that whether it's on the record or off the record, I can ask a question and I'm going to get an honest answer, and that's from all of you. And I can't tell you how much I appreciate that. So I'm going to ask you this, and I know you'll give me I know you'll give me your opinion on this. What do you see as the state of indoor volleyball in Brevard County at the moment?
Oh, it's improved tremendously over the 10 years that I've been here. I mean, I think that when I started 10 years ago, there were definitely two dominant teams in the county, and now I would say that there's, four or five. It's
Yeah.
the skill set is just it's spreading among the county, and there's getting to be so many more club players, and that has definitely elevated the fall play by all these girls getting in and playing throughout the year. So I'm impressed. I love it.
Outstanding. And coach, let me ask you this: schedule wise, now when you guys do a schedule, and I'm always curious about this. Obviously, you got to play your conference schedule, but how do you go about? How do the tournaments work on the? It's something I've always wanted to know about. How do you pop in tournaments? When do you know what tournaments can you play in? How do you work that schedule?
Yeah, so actually it's changed. That's changed throughout the last few years as well. So we originally were having a conference schedule, and now we don't. We as coaches are completely responsible for putting together our entire schedule. We
Wow,
do not have to play anybody in this county at all until districts.
wow.
So, so each of us kind of picks and chooses who we want to play. We reach out to the other coaches. And of course, Max Preps makes it, to where those of us that are hoping to go on to postseason play, those who you schedule, make a difference in the possibility of going on. So we're trying to schedule harder teams a lot of times, or teams that will be challenging and either get us more points on that max preps, or will get us ready for the bigger competition that we're going to be playing. As far as tournaments, there's tournaments all over the state. I have typically chosen for my team the KSA tournament that's over in Orlando. But I know Game Point runs a tournament. There's a Jacksonville one. There's one over in Tampa. So it's just a matter of searching for those and reaching out to different contacts to try to find a tournament that best suits your team.
Yeah, no doubt. I often want. I'm looking at what's in Max Preps already for this upcoming season, and if that's accurate, 8-19. Start off with the rivals down the street in Heritage, and I see the Edgewoods, the West Shores, the Holy Trinities, Vieiras, Merritt Islands, Satellites, all of the world on your schedule. So you're playing everybody.
Yes. Yeah, we are trying to get. You're allowed to have 25 matches in a season. So, or games. I guess they're games now.
Yeah.
I just showed my age. Um, so I tend to try to max out for our varsity team because, again, the more competition they can get, the more prepared they're going to be as we get into later in the season.
Let me ask you
But I know
this.
there's some coaches that just do 14 or 15 games. So
Right.
I prefer to play more.
No, I would be like you. I would want to play as many as I could. If I could schedule 25, I think I would schedule 25.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. What's different about Nicole Hunt today than when you took the court as a head coach, say 5 years ago? What has changed about you as a head coach?
Whew. A lot. I would say, 10 years ago, I was still coming. I mean, don't get me wrong, I want to win, right? I think we all want to win. But I think when I came in 10 years ago, I wanted to win more than the girls wanted to win.
Right.
And it took a lot out of me. It was very difficult coming into a program who hadn't won in several years a single game, right? And
Right.
to try to change that program for the better not just skill wise, but mentality wise, and realize that as competitive as I am, and as our generation is typically, some of the girls now are just here to play, and they're happy with playing. So I've had to find and change my demeanor with different players and understand that there is still skill set in people who are not exactly driven as much as me, which has been a hard pill to swallow for sure.
Yeah, no
So,
doubt. The one thing I find that is, now, don't get me wrong. I mean, we've got programs where we got coaches in and out, but for the most part, we don't have that, as a whole in volleyball. Like for you, for example, going into year 10, I think Coach Patrick's going into year 22. Coach Wayne's been the only coach Vieira's ever had over there. Coach
yeah.
Bolton, 2 years or two different programs. You're talking 20 years at two programs. That's commitment. What keeps you coming back to Bayside?
Well, the love of the sport, the love of the game, first of all. But then there's just relationships that you build with some of these girls. And so, 4 years ago, I would have said, okay, I think, Jasmine and Jenna are going to be it for me, right? And I was like, I got to last until their senior year. And then it was like, okay, well, now I've got, the Camille's, and I've got the Ansleys, and then I have like the Maddie Hamilton that came in last year as a freshman. And now this year, I actually have my daughter that's
I was
going to be
gonna
starting
say
in
you
the
got your
program.
daughter.
So, we had a long, long talk, and I was just like, hey, I mean, it's not going to be easy. I was a coach's kid. It is not going to be easy. And I coached her when she was on 12s, and it was not a fun year. So I'm like, do you want to go somewhere else? Like, that's the great thing about, this county of Brevard is like, you can literally go somewhere else, and I'll see what I can do to get you into a different school, and you can hopefully make their team. And she says, no, Mom, I've been a Bear since I was 4 years old. I want to play at Bayside. So I'm like, all right, I guess I'm here then, because I can't guarantee that there would be somebody else that would come in.
Right.
So I'm
No,
here.
no, that's great. I was gonna say your daughter is that. Yeah, so I know she's gonna be a freshman, right?
Yes.
So we'll see you for 4 more years, I'm sure.
Yep. As long as she's here, I'll be here.
There you go. Coaches, we get set to wrap up here. I can't thank you enough for taking time out of your day. I know how the summers are for coaches and student athletes preparing for the fall. What are your expectations for your? I know how much you want to win. What are your expectations for your program in 2025?
The expectation, I think, every year has been just to improve on what we had done the year before, right? So each year there's another team that we beat for the first time that the school has never beat. This last year it was, winning sets off of teams that we had not won sets off of, turning heads. I want just the continued growth of the program for the girls. I want Bayside to be a school that girls want to come play for. That there's somebody here in the south end of the county that can compete at the highest level against some of the ones in the north. So I enjoy the sport, and I just want it to continue to grow in this county.
No, Coach, I think it will continue to grow, and with great coaches like yourself, and Bayside. I can tell you, since I personally became a big fan of this sport, I think I started actually broadcasting volleyball back in my days with Space Coast Daily, and for the 7 or 8 years that I've been involved with watching this sport grow, I get more and more excited every year for the start of it, and it's been a lot of fun watching you bring the Bayside volleyball program up there with the upper echelon of this county. Congratulations on all your success, and good luck moving forward.
Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yes, we will get more volleyball coaches on. Coach Hunt leads it off here. I wanted to speak to Coach Hunt to kick off kind of getting some of the volleyball coaches in. We're done with football until the media days. at the end of July. And I'm going to tell you, I'm going to try to figure out a way to do some sort of a media day for the volleyball girls. Let me get through the volleyball portion of it before I worry about doing any other sports other than volleyball and football. But we're going to try. We certainly are. We have talked about it, and we are going to try to plan it. So I want to thank Coach Hunt. I want to thank all of you out there for watching here tonight. So for Coach Nicole Hunt, I'm Alan Slaughter-Zinski for the Brevard Sports Network.